Hey guys, welcome back to the Q Effect. I have one of my buddies here, Mr. Westley Baer. First of all, we were friends, have been friends for many, many years, used to be roommates. He's very amazing, into fitness, into his faith. And you'll find out something funny is back in the day, I used to be the cook, but now he is the cook. He went so far as to developing a high protein dessert book, because if you're like me, I love my sweets, but at the same time, he shows you how you can still reach your goals. And he's been through a lot in life, and he is very authentic about what he shares with everyone, and complete and 100% honesty. And a lot of people on Instagram are completely not that, but he is definitely the opposite, and definitely somebody you should stay tuned. So I'm very happy that he's here. Not only that, Wes was featured on Netflix's Love is Blind first season. Wesley has built a life rooted in discipline, personal growth, and authenticity. We're diving into all that and more with his fitness, his faith, and what he's doing, his Love is Blind experience, and things like that. So now we're going to roll back the cameras a little bit so you guys can get to know him. Wes, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate the invite.
So first thing first, where did you grow up, and what were some of your biggest influences in your life to date?
Yeah, I grew up in Sandy Springs for most of my life, and went to school at Kennesaw State, was a major in sports management. And one of the biggest influences, and still to this day, was my mom. I was very close with my mom. Didn't really have father figure until I was about 12. And so learned a lot from her. And she is just my rock. She's been everything to me. And so she's definitely been somebody that pushes me to be the best person that I can be, but is also the biggest driver. Anything I do, I think of her. I think of retiring her. I think of, the any job I've been in. I sit there and say, okay, I want to be successful, not only for myself, but also to retire her. So it would be amazing if I can do that one day, and definitely the biggest influence in my life.
Same here, brother. And that's one of the reasons why I work so hard, is so my mom can also retire early, because, she was my rock as well. When you don't believe in yourself, you can count on your mom to make you believe in yourself again. And I know her as well, y'all. She is great. She is definitely his number one fan, and I'm also number two. So as far as, your career in media, reality TV, it took off some, especially with your Instagram. Did you foresee something like that happening, or it just happened organically and you just went with it?
Yeah. So I always wanted to be an actor, to be honest with you. Like when I was younger, I was the guy that I thought I was probably funnier than, I thought I was funnier than most people did. But I sat there and I was like, it would be so cool to be on like a show or in movies, and never really knew what it would take to get there. But I was like, why don't I try to find an agent? So I got a funny story behind this, to where before I even got in media, before I even, got in Love is Blind and had that opportunity, I hired an agent, and it was probably, I don't know, I was 20 years old, 21. And I was like, I'm going to be in movies, and this is where I need to start. And I will always remember the interview I had with this guy. He said, I want you to read this script. You have 5 minutes, I think it was 5 or 10 minutes, to memorize as much as you can and come into this room, and you're going to read it out. And I was like, okay, this is not going to be that hard. I look at the script, and it was a commercial for a margarine company, like butter. And I had to act like I was butter in a pan. And I will always remember this. And this is kind of what started everything, because I believed in myself, and it was probably the dumbest script I've ever read. But I had to act like I was butter sizzling in a pan. And
Okay.
so I remember I was like, margarine, you know me. And I'll always remember that was the first line. And then I had to act like I was like sizzling in this pan. And at the end of it, he was like, you did pretty good, actually, way better than I thought. And I was like, all right. And he goes, now we got to do your photo shoots and everything, and it'll be $400. And I was like, this kind of sounds scammy. I don't know if I should be paying for an agent. Looking back now, you're not supposed to be doing that. But it did lead to opportunities. I got a few roles as extras. I got my first speaking role, and then my role got cut. And so that is kind of what pushed me into wanting to be in TV more. But there were years, probably a 4-year gap, to where I had other things in life. I had a job. I had things that I had to take care of. And I started to realize, like, if I wanted to be in movies, I can't be working jobs. Most of the time, these interviews are Mondays, Tuesdays. And so I kind of pushed that to the side. But it's always been that thing in the back of my head to where I was like, it'd be pretty cool to be in like a major movie. Working, one of my favorite actors is Adam Sandler. I've always wanted to be in like
Hilarious.
yeah. So that
He
was
actually just came out with a Gilmore too as well.
uh-huh. Yeah. So I watched a lot of his movies growing up. Big comedy guy, but did not think that all of that. I think all of doing the getting an agent and going to that interview and being in a few small films, that gave me the confidence when I had the opportunity to be on Love is Blind, because it's stressful. I mean, it is. And I'm just grateful that I had the opportunity when I was a little younger, when I was 20, to do that.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And so Adam Sandler was one of your favorite ones. Any other? Was there a female that also you really, really liked as an actress?
Jessica Alba was like my definitely go-to.
What time when she was in Honey or when she was in Fantastic Four? Now, those are two very different movies now.
No, she was my definitely a celebrity crush as well. But yeah, I Will Ferrell, for like other actors that I liked, Will Ferrell. I mean, there's so many. Like I like Brad Pitt as well. Mm-hmm. But movies were a thing growing up. Like, was watching comedy was always my thing. Not a big scary movie guy. I'll watch it now, but definitely more of like a comedy and action movies.
And so when you had that 4-year gap from acting, what inspired you to give it another try? Like, especially with Love is Blind and all these other things, like what made you decide, okay, I want to do it again?
I think the biggest thing for me is when you have, I would say seasons of life, right? You still in the back of your head may have that, want to do something, but you may have to put it on the back burner. You may have to wait. At the time of my life, when I was 21, 22, I was almost out of college. I wanted to work in sports. And so that was my season of life to where I was like, okay, if I do this, if I go full time on acting, I'm going to have to push this to the side. And my mom got sick at the time. I was 22, she got sick, and I was applying for jobs all over the U.S. to work in sports. Had a great opportunity to work for the Grizzlies, Memphis Grizzlies, ended up not taking it because she was sick and I just wanted to stay closer to her. And doing that kind of made me realize the importance of family, but also it made me say, well, this is the season of life that I'm in right now, and I'm going to need to focus on this. So it was always in the back of my head, like, yeah, I'd love to be an actor. But then again, I knew that I had to, one, make money, and I had to pay for my bills and the things that I had in my life. And that took taking a job right out of college. I also worked during college. And it led to just really other seasons of life that I needed to experience before that opportunity. Because the opportunity with Love is Blind came out of nowhere. It really did. I wasn't sitting there saying, oh, I want to be on this dating show. I'm going to go apply for all these shows. It came out of nowhere. And I think that, for me, it was believing in myself and putting God first and being like, if you're going to present an opportunity to me, I want to be ready for it. Mm-hmm. So many people do things when they're not ready for it.
Correct.
So that was one thing for me. It was like at the time of my life when I was 27, when we started the show, I wanted to find love. I wanted to be with somebody. I wanted to also, I was like, it'd be pretty cool to be on a show. But I was out of a relationship for a few years. And I was like, man, like this would make my mom proud. This would make, probably change my life, but it also would build a connection with somebody that could be with me forever. Mm-hmm. So.
And what was that experience like?
It was an amazing experience. It was something that, I tell anyone if they have the right intentions, if they're doing it for the right reasons and they have the opportunity to do it. But too many people jump into things when they aren't ready, like I was saying. And then they become somebody that they're not. And that becomes an issue, especially in the media space, is you perceive people how you see it. And a lot of people get bad edits. A lot of people get a bad rep, and they might be the best person. They might be somebody that everyone at home is like, this person's amazing. Like, I don't know what TV's doing to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that you got to protect your peace. And you also have to stay humble and be like, listen, if like, am I going to be the person that I am, or am I going to be somebody different and it backfire on me?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I was very true to myself, and we'll talk about that, the experience fully later, but like I was true to myself. I was very open about things. I, didn't want to be somebody that I wasn't. And I'm glad I did that. It didn't, turn out the way I may have wanted it to, but I still learned a lot about myself that I'm very grateful for.
Good. So have you ever faced any major personal challenges or setbacks? And when you did, or in the future or in the past, how did you work through those?
Yeah. So this is when I was really young. When I was 4, I got in a really bad injury. I got flipped in a shopping cart. Crazy story. My mom was babysitting somebody. She was pushing a shopping cart, or he was, and he flipped it. He was riding on the back of it. And my leg went the other way, and I broke my femur bone in 3 places. Had to get a rod in my leg. I was in a wheelchair, full body cast, couldn't walk for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big challenge because what it did was it caused arthritis in my leg. And so when I was younger, it was tough for me to even sleep because I would just have pain in my leg all the time, especially when it rains, especially when it's bad weather. I would just get pains all throughout my leg. And it's still something I experience to this day. Relearning how to walk is something that can be a struggle. I mean, especially for at the time, single mother raising a 4-year-old that is, we had to move out of our apartment because I was in a wheelchair. We were on the 3rd floor of the apartment, had to move out, had to really change, my mom's dreams. And that's something that I sometimes don't even, I might talk about that injury, but the biggest change was my mom's dreams at that time. She wanted to work in, she was in school at the time for nail care, and she had to give up on what her dream was because she had to take care of at the time, a son that was injured. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm very grateful for that because, and it's something that I don't tell her thank you enough because she had to change her whole life from that one instance. Another thing that was a challenge for me and something that I struggled with right after high school when I was 16 years old, I was in a hotel working an event down in Jacksonville. And I had a friend with me. We were working the Georgia-Florida game, and we were selling T-shirts. And I worked for a company at the time, and it was a good opportunity. And I had to help pay the bills. So I was like, this would be a great opportunity. Anyways, we got a really cheap motel, and somebody was watching us. It was 2 a.m, and they broke into our hotel room while we were sleeping, put a gun to our heads, and robbed us at gunpoint, took everything. And it scared the living crap out of me. And for years, I would wake up with the feeling of that gun on my head. And I had to go through therapy. I had to go through, I talked to people. I had to talk to people in my church because I was just I experienced something that was traumatic at the time, but also I was reliving it almost while I was dreaming and in my own mind. And it made me afraid of guns at that time. I didn't want to be around them. I was very, I still did the life that I wanted to live, and I still experienced a lot, but it was a challenge that I faced for years because I just was I just kept reliving it almost, and now to this day, one thing, I'll never stay in a motel. But
Never.
No. But even the word Jacksonville sometimes just gives me a trigger, and I, the industry I'm in now, we have an office in Jacksonville. My, coworker is in Jacksonville, the one that I help lead. And so things like that bring back those memories. They don't control me like they did, but that was a challenge that I faced. That was something I never would want, even my worst enemy to go through. But it also made me be very appreciative of life itself. And, you know, I mean, that person,
And staying in the 5-star hotel.
yeah. I mean, that person could have taken my life.
Hell
you know?
yeah.
I didn't care about the suitcase. I didn't care about the stuff. It was more of, you know, a wake up call.
And it is one of those things where it's just like, you know, you just have people that have nothing better to do than like somebody literally worked their ass off for this and you just want to come and take it or commit crime for no reason. Like,
Yep.
I don't get it. Like, I know this is completely off subject, but even the part, you know, when everything was going on with George Floyd and you had riots and stuff, people forgot the purpose. Like, you're using this as an excuse to go vandalize stores and steal. That ain't got nothing to do with this. But yet you're using that as an excuse to steal. Like, I don't get it. And it's so annoying that that was used for people to commit crime rather than what it was actually for, to make a change. So it's just, I don't know, it just annoys me when, you know, you have the same 365 days a year to make something out of your life, but you chose not to. So you want to come and steal from somebody else who worked for theirs.
Yep.
Like, it's crazy. Anyway, so now you're at a point in your life, you know, how do you define success? Of course, with your work, with Instagram, you know, you also had to learn how to be successful on the Love is Blind thing as well. So, you know, how do you define success?
For me, I mean, most people are going to define it by money. Most people are going to define it by, you know, going up the corporate ladder and, you know, being the best at their company and all of that. For me, I think something that I really look at is the influence, the impact. How, you know, what I'm doing currently, how is it impacting others in a positive way? How is it influencing them in a positive way to be the best version of their, you know, themselves? Because success may take time. It may take time to build something. You might have to go through, and we all know this, you're going to have to go through tough times. You're going to have to go through doubts. You're going to have to, you know, you're going to be looking in the mirror and saying, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can start that business. But success, you know, and I'm not maybe at the exact level I want to be at yet, but there's so much growth that you can gain from, you know, one, believing in yourself, surrounding yourself with the right people, the right mentorship. I mean, that to me is what success is how, you know, what I am doing, is it creating lifelong opportunities for not only myself, my family, other people as well. We are here, we are called to serve and to help and to be a light. And I think that's something that will create success, is if you're doing the right things, if, you know, you're putting yourself at a place to where you're wanting to learn more, you're wanting to grow more. Always learning is key for me. Motivation is temporary. You can be motivated 1 minute and the next minute you're stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I think success is defined by so much more than just money. Because is that money controlling you? What are you using that money for? You could create the biggest company in the world making all this money and have all of it in your pocket. But are you happy inside? That's something that is also success. It's like, am I happy with where I'm at and what I'm doing? Too many people are getting jobs and creating businesses that they don't even want to do. I mean, yeah, you might be successful, but do you tell yourself that? Just because your business is making a lot of money, that doesn't mean it's successful. Mm-hmm. Maybe, but is it influencing people in the wrong way?
Correct.
Is your business leading others in a negative direction? That's not success, just because of money. So yeah.
And to piggyback off of that, you have people that are trying to do businesses like mine. Everybody's into hormones, peptides, you know, the weight loss, the GLPs. But at the end of the day, you're seeing people that are on GLPs that shouldn't be. You see people that are on the wrong peptides for their goals. You see people getting hormones not corrected the right way. Their protocols are not correct. But because there's this high, people are taking advantage of people's ignorance and making money off of it. So they're actually, yes, they're making money, but people are being affected by it. And they're not getting what they should be getting with the care. So it's like one of those things where, you know, people are just making money off people's ignorance, and I can't stand it. I talk about it all the time, and I tell people, invest in your health. That means looking up the answer, because you can't just be dumb. If a doctor tells you to jump off a bridge, are you going to do it? I hope not. But like, invest. Why am I taking this? Why do you think I need this? Well, I'm taking these other medications. This is a contraindication to that. So why are you prescribing me that? You know, I see it all the time. The amount of people that are being misdiagnosed or under or overprescribed stuff that they don't need is insane to me. And I see it every single day. And then for people, you know, when you're trying to build success, it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And like I always say, name one person who got to where they are today who was very, very successful, who did not have a failure. Failures lead to success. And if you're afraid of failure, then you're not going to be successful, because it's not going to be perfect. There's always going to be a brick in the road. But what you're going to do, you need to break that thing and keep moving. Or you just stay stagnant.
Yep.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda, you know? So just like even with Instagram, it's like you see people like yourself who's fully authentic about what they do and say, right? You're the one that should have a ton of followers, instead of someone who's fake as hell, spreading lies, don't know what they're talking about, got all the followers. Like, it makes no sense to me how so backwards that is. Like, why can't a healthcare provider like me, or anyone else that does what I do with a whole lot of education for the masses, that's the kind of stuff to be going viral. Not people being able to fit into lifts and breaking lifts and the person got fired. You know, like, that's the stuff that shouldn't matter. Or the whole, excuse my French, the fat positivity shit. Like, bro, why is that getting so much, you know, noise when that's not healthy? You're actually promoting unhealthy behaviors. So someone's following you could be eating the same BS that you're eating, and now they have a heart attack and die. And those are the things that are going viral rather than stuff that actually matters.
Yeah. And it's sad. I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, when I see the one thing I think that confuses me, we live in a time to where, especially in the dieting space, you know, you'll have these trends almost. Like the keto thing was such a big, I mean, I know still people do it, but I tried it and I was like, this isn't for me, right?
Miserable.
But that's the same way in social media, to where you have these trends. And I think a lot of it is, I mean, government and like who is controlling the media outlets is a big part of it, because they're pushing different narratives, trying to fit into, okay, well, this is okay, or this is okay. And like you said, a lot of the times there's things that it's not okay, because what it does is, yes, somebody says something and it may make you feel better about yourself. But if it's something that's not going to help you grow or help you, and you get stuck in that same position, that's not helping you. But a lot of people just want to know that they feel seen, that somebody else understands them. And I totally agree with that. Like, I do agree with that. There's people out there that are hurting, that need support. There's people that a positive message on social media could change everything for them. Really could. But if the message is not presented in a way that it's actually helping that person, then it's false information.
And that's unfortunate. The world that we live in is false information. And people, for instance, like I get patients coming in for weight loss, or they want to build muscle, and they're showing me a picture of somebody they want to look like. First of all, you need to get the best you first. You hadn't even started step one, and that's a diet change. You need to look at everything that person is doing or not doing, or someone might be taking other things or performance enhancement stuff that you don't even know about, you know, that got them to that point. But at the end of the day, it still doesn't take the place of what they need to be doing as far as their fitness, their meals, and things like that. I don't care what you're taking. If your goals in your diet is not geared towards that, you're not going to get that body type that you're looking for. So I tell people all the time, are you ready to do the work that it takes for that person, for you to look like this person? I don't think so. So let's build a better you first. But people always, that's one thing that social media has messed up, is people want to look like someone else. Or they're always comparing themselves, even though you know damn well you don't got the body type for it. And what I've also seen, yes, the bodybuilding community is very, very big throughout the country, but now you have these young kids that follow, you know, these bodybuilders, and now they're taking performance enhancement drugs. And like, sir, you're not even 20 yet. Now you got all this back of acne, you're messing up your growth and all these other things that need to happen. Like, it's a lot of that going on.
Especially in Mexico, you can be 17 years old. And I saw something, I don't know if it's all of Mexico, but basically like 17, 18-year-olds, they're buying all these meds from pharmacies.
Yeah.
And
There's no mandates on it.
Yeah. And so they did an interview and the guy was just walking around a gym and he was like, how many people do you think are on steroids, here in Mexico that are 17, 18 years old? And a lot of the people that were local were like, probably at least half of them. Mm-hmm. Because they can get it. They have access to it. Mm-hmm. And they don't do their information and they don't have the right. Yeah. It's wild.
Mm-hmm. And then pharmacy makes it, but then you also have people that get out of somebody's trunk. You really gonna take some of that out of somebody's trunk? Okay, you don't care about your life at all. More power to you. So let's switch gears. So, I know you love fitness and you love to cook. I see that you do a lot of high protein meals for dessert, and which is amazing because so many people have a problem with getting in their protein. Mm-hmm. So that's why I like that you incorporate First Form's protein or any protein in general with what you make, because so many people, if you love sweets, add some protein to that thing. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit more about your book about desserts and what made you decide to do it. Because you was not a cook before now.
No, let's see. I probably didn't start cooking until like right after college when I realized I had to learn how to cook. Mm-hmm. I couldn't be eating ramen noodles and those little pizzas, frozen pizzas.
Hey, we used to get through back in the day.
Yeah, man. But once I started to lose weight, I where it first started really was in probably I was 21, 22. I started working with Herbalife. And at the time, I was the heaviest I'd ever been. I was 190 pounds, which I'm 5'9". That's way too much for me because it was not muscle. It was fat. Mm-hmm. And so I got introduced to Herbalife, ended up losing about 25 pounds just drinking shakes. And I was still eating healthy. So I was making chicken salads. I was probably at that time, I was averaging around 160 grams of protein still a day. And I was very consistent. I felt good. Losing that weight was a big, big change for me. And I think that started my whole, all right, like this is a journey I need to be going down. But then I also had roadblocks to where I started drinking heavy. I was partying a lot. I was going out on the weekends. And I didn't realize what it was doing to just like my face and making my face all puffy and just making my energy levels like really, really low. And so I started to change everything about 2 years ago, went through a tough breakup and stopped drinking. And that was a big part because what that did was it made me also be like, all right, Wes, if I want to change myself, because at the time I was single, I wanted to look good. I wanted to be in the best shape possible. And so I was like, well, I need to start making food that I'm going to enjoy, mm-hmm. And I know from seeing your content and we've known each other for some time and some of the recipes that you've made, especially with the low calorie, high protein ice creams. Mm. I mean, that's where it's at. I've always been a sweets guy, big dessert guy. Ice cream's my thing. And I was like, how can I recreate stuff like this? Right? I've been learning from other people, but how can I really like help other people as well? Because most people know that you need to get your protein in. That's so important. And you're right, you do. But most people don't want to eat chicken and rice. They don't want to eat just your proteins and your carbs and your veggies. They just don't. It's boring, right? Yeah. If you put a ton of sauce on it, it ruins it. So at least when it comes to your calories, if you're in a calorie deficit. Mm-hmm. And so I did where it really like was the start for the recipe book and the determination to want to like create it was I did 75 hard at the start of 2024. And that changed everything for me. When I did it, it made me more disciplined. It showed me that I had just so much more in me than I thought, especially when it came to my workouts. I was drinking a gallon of water every day. Before that, I wasn't. And what I started to, I guess you would say the struggle in the beginning was a lot of the things I was making was kind of boring. I was like, how can I make desserts where they taste good and they're going to be high in protein? And it led to me then working with First Form. I finished 75 hard. I lost weight. I felt great. And I had a great opportunity because I was at the time taking their products to start working with them. And that gave me the push to be like, all right, Wes, like through the last probably 45 days of 75 hard, I was going all in on creating high protein desserts. And I wanted to learn. So I was just testing everything. Muffins, different yogurts, different ice creams, different, even like breakfasts, like pancakes, stuff like that. By testing all of that, and the one thing that I guess I would say, saw the most from was not only trying it myself, but bringing it to people to say, hey, how does this taste? Right? Like, this is low calorie, high protein. Like, how does this taste? And so I had testers for almost all my desserts. I would bring them into work. I'd bring them into Bible study. I'd bring them to friends. And so I started doing that. And a lot of people were like, this tastes amazing. I love this. And so that gave me, I guess you'd say the motivation to be like, why don't I create something? Why don't I create something that other people are going to like? That's not going to be expensive, right? Like, it's going to be an ebook, $10, $20, but it's going to be, a combination of, say, 35 to 40 desserts that I know they're going to enjoy that are easy to make. That's another thing too. Most people don't want to bake because it does take time. And it is, it's not fun when you bake something and it doesn't turn out how you want it to. And you're like, I just wasted an hour. This kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I've been there plenty times. Most of the recipes, especially the ones I bake, I've probably had to make it 3 to 4 times to finally figure out what I was doing. But being in the kitchen and doing that was like my therapy. And when I created the book, the whole purpose of it was, how can I give something to somebody? How can I show them something that I know that they're going to like, that they could sit there with no skills in the kitchen and make themselves? That's going to taste good, that's going to be low calorie, and also things that they could even make for their friends. So when I launched it, which was in 2024, in July, I probably spent about 2 to 3 months just really going all in on what are the best ones that I can show people. I probably had around 75, 80 desserts, but I only put in about 35 of them that I knew were going to be like my top ones.
Yeah.
And I'm just super proud of myself creating that book and just being able to help other people. I do a lot of giveaways sometimes for it where I'll just give free copies out just because it's not about the money to me. The money is more of the reinvestment back into the business. Almost all the funds from it have been used to buy more products, to buy more, things like a Ninja Creamy, which I love that thing. It's one of my favorite appliances, or things that I can use in the kitchen.
Correct.
And so right now I'm in phase 2 of the book, to where I'm basically adding in right around 20 to 30 more. And anyone that's purchased a copy gets a new version. So if somebody has purchased it already, they get an updated version. But I'm really excited about that because it's going to then have right around like 65 to 70 recipes that people can make at home.
And y'all, it's not hard. If you can read, you should be able to cook. All right. Get you a food scale. A lot of y'all just be going by taste, food scale, because when you do too much, those are extra calories that aren't accounted for. So the macros that is on the book isn't what it is because you overindulge. So read first, because people don't like to read nothing. Read, get your food scale. You will be good. It's not rocket science. Even your 5-year-old can make this stuff because they can read, hopefully. But congrats on that, man. And we'll definitely tag your book in that so people can purchase. I'm going to get me one too, just because like I love baking too, but I'll make it by taste first because I like to bake and cook by taste, but I still weigh it and I memorize it. And my mom keeps telling me, you need to write it down Because people always ask me like the macros and everything. I just memorize it. I'm so thankful I got good memory.
Same way with you. The amount of people when I post recipes and it's on me, I have to sit back and say, well, people are going to ask for that recipe.
Yeah.
And if I post it, most of the time I sit back and I'm like, I'll message them back. I don't have it written out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Like
Yeah.
I know what it is. I know exactly what I need for the recipe, but I don't have it written out in like a recipe form.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm right there with you on that.
And so I see another thing you do is with your fitness, you run stairs. I've seen you do it with and without a weight vest.
Yeah.
And I've seen other people doing it with you. So like, what's your weekly routine for fitness?
Yeah, so I kind of just mix it up. I don't really have anything that's like set. I used to, do the Monday is going to be, shoulders, Tuesday is going to be arms, whatever, like kind of routine. For me, what I'm doing right now though, when I was doing 75 hard, which I did twice last year, it was an indoor workout and outdoor workout. So it was a little different. Mm-hmm. Now I'm at a place to where I'm in a cut, so I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight, so my cardio's up a little bit, but most of that is through the stairs. The stairs that I go to is like a therapy to me. It's something that I have been doing for 2 years, and it's been really benefiting and helping with the strength in my legs because my left leg is pretty weak from my injury. I still deal with it, but it's a different kind of feeling than if I'm running for miles. Mm-hmm, and so what I'm doing now is I do I do 2 days, at least 4 days a week. They're usually one weekend, so a Saturday is usually 2 workouts. My first workout is a stair workout. It's usually 45 minutes. I do right around 300 flights of stairs in that 45-minute time frame. And then I'll do my strength training. Saturdays, I'm always like, that's my back and bi days. I always do that. And then when it comes to my weekdays, I'll do 3 other stair workouts. But usually 2 of them, it's less time. It's about 30 minutes. And then I'll do a 2 to 3 mile run. When it comes to the weighted vest, I don't do that as regular because of the heat. Right now it's pretty hot. And so with the vest, I usually stick to about 1 day a week with that right now. Mm-hmm. But when it's cold out, I wear the vest all the time. But just with the heat going on, it's just, I'm not trying to kill myself out there. So
that's right.
Yeah. And then my strength training, I do 4 days during the week, usually at a gym. I'm pretty busy with my job right now, so it is tough with the traveling, to be able to do 2 days, one of them being in the gym. But I'm sticking to at least 4 days, at least, making sure that I'm doing all body parts, legs, back and bis, arms, shoulders, chest. They're all spread out. And then there may be a change in that in the next few months. So it really just depends, but that's kind of working for me right now. I've been able to lose some weight and, feeling really good about my progress. And a lot of that is just from being very consistent.
Correct. You heard that? Consistency is key. I tell people all the time with the 75 hard, okay, what are you going to do after 75 hard? You have some people, okay, you do 75 days and you go back to who you were before. Mm-hmm. Like I always say, how about do a moderate 365? Can we try that? 80-20 rule. Have your cheat meal, not cheat day. There's a difference. All right. You have people that want to lose weight, but then you're like, oh, I'm not losing weight. Well, you ate crap the whole weekend. So your caloric deficit just went to a caloric surplus. So a lot of people don't get it. Like you can't have all your carbs and then drink all your alcohol. You're in excess carbs at the time, processed sugar. It's just little things like that people don't realize that counts. Drinking does count. Yeah. I'm going to eat my calories. I'm not drinking them. And so with your fitness, because, there's a lot of myths out there and a lot of people just don't know. So what type of things that you've learned throughout your own fitness journey that might have been a myth that, you've learned the opposite about it?
Carbs are bad for you.
Number one.
When I did keto, that was something that I had the same meal. It felt like almost every day, but yeah, it's just, I think there's so much information out there that you really don't know what to believe. And so when you see it, you're like, okay, like I want to lose weight. What are the things that are holding me back from losing weight? Oh, well, this person said that this is not good for you, so I'm not going to do that. So that's one thing. Another thing is cardio. A lot of the times people say, cardio is bad for you. I mean, it's not. I mean, we all should be doing it. We need to go on walks. We need to be moving our body.
Yep.
Even the biggest bodybuilders, even the people that are training for marathons, high rocks events, they're doing cardio. They're doing things that are full body workouts. So I think that too many people they stick to this one routine and they don't realize the importance of adding other things to it or trying something new. A lot of people will say, your abs are going to be defined in the kitchen. Well, it's true. Like how you, what you eat and what you're eating. And not only that, like you mentioned, what you're drinking too. Mm-hmm. How can you lose weight if you're going out every weekend and you're drinking alcohol? I mean, maybe you can. Yeah. Maybe you can. I'm not saying you can't, but it's something that it's going to be more of a struggle. You're going to have to push yourself even more.
So. You have some people who they don't know what having a good time is without drinking. Mm-hmm. If that's your only way to have a good time, then you need therapy. Because there's a lot of stuff you can be doing to have a good time. Like actually go to a sporting game and actually watch the sport. But people be drinking and eating more than watching the damn game. I'm there to watch it. So people having these side conversations, I am zoned in when I'm watching football. Like, don't talk to me. Like I remember one time I was watching the Super Bowl and I invited a friend over. He over here talking about politics and stuff. I said, sir, you about to get kicked out. And this was the Super Bowl. When I'm watching sports, zip it. Mm-hmm. You can talk on commercials. Soon as the commercial's over, shut it up. That's how I am about sports. And I'm good with a good meal, something like that. No alcohol. My friends know anytime I have a get together, ain't no alcohol. So you better bring your own. But I like to also inadvertently show people how to eat healthy and not force it on anyone, because what you see is what you get. So if you want something unhealthy, you're gonna have to go get it yourself from somewhere else. But yeah, so that's a little tidbit about when I do that kind of stuff. But also, how are you balancing your dessert stuff that you're doing with your book, the work that you're doing because you have a real job, and then also your fitness? Because I know it can be tiring, and I'm right there with you as well.
Yeah, I don't sleep as much as I would like, so I'll be honest about that, right? It's something.
And why not? Because sleep is important.
That is a struggle. I think a lot of people struggle with sleep. They just don't talk about it enough, but it is something that we overwork ourselves, especially if you have a growth mindset and you want to build something. You want to try a lot of things. And so for me right now, what I'm trying to do is to be more patient about just where I'm at, but then also in a consistent learning mode. Like, what are the things, if I'm looking at my morning and my nights, like what are the things that I know that I need to get done? What are the things that are really important to me? And also, what are some things that are going to make me happy? What are some of the things that, bring joy to my life? So what I try to do is I get up pretty early, right around, I probably hit snooze twice, but right around 4:30 to 5. And every morning, I do this every morning. Immediately, I've been doing this probably for about 30 days, at least consistent, right? Morning routines, I don't believe in them fully because I don't need that kind of structure, but I do want to have some things that are really important. And so start every morning in prayer. I usually will read for about 10 minutes. Highly suggest anyone that's listening to this not looking at their phone for the first 30 minutes of the day, because your mind will get fixated on that, especially if you're looking on emails. If you look at your phone and you get a text message and it's something negative, like your mind is going into, oh God, I got to figure this out. Mm-hmm. And then you're pushing to the side the things that you're wanting to get done. So for me, I don't do that. I don't look at my phone for the first 30 minutes. For my job, I work 2 days a week from home. The other 3 days are in office. So my in-office days are a little bit different. But my work from home days, I usually will, every day I do my run or my stair workout or even an hour walk every day. That's like my morning thing. So right after I get done with my prayer and my reading, I usually, make sure I'm hydrated, make sure I got some electrolytes in me. I'll get my, if I'm filming anything, I'll get my equipment, and then I'll head out. And I do that, and then I'll come back. Usually right after that, cook, make some kind of meal, or if I have to make lunch for the day that I forgot, I'll do that. Work 8 to 5. If I'm in office, I get home 5:30, and then I immediately work out, like right after work. And then after that, I'll go home, and I used to be, but I'm not a big TV guy anymore because I don't want to do things that are just going to like kill time. I'm not against watching TV, but if I'm not learning from it, or if I'm not like adding value to it, then I don't want to be having it involved in my life as much. It's okay to do it in moderation. But for me right now, my schedule is pretty busy to where, every Tuesday I have calls with First Form. So we're with First Form. So we have a call every Tuesday with the team. And then every Tuesday I have Bible study. So I'm involved in a Bible study on Tuesdays. And then on Friday mornings, every Friday morning here in Atlanta, we do one from 7 to 8. And so those are things that I can add value to, but that also can add value to my life. So I want to incorporate those things into my day. So
that was the key thing. You make time for what you want to make time for. This whole I don't got time BS, you make time for what you want to make time for. So cut the crap.
Yeah.
Continue.
Priorities. I mean, there's too many people in this world that will say, well, I don't have enough time for this. I don't have enough time to work out. And I get it.
Well, it took time to get that big, didn't it? It sure did.
Yep.
It took time to have 12 kids you can't take care of for, can it? It did. So I ain't trying to hear that.
Yeah. And I feel for, when I was coaching people through 75 Hard, which I did last year, actually the second time I did it, most of the people in the program, and it was a program I didn't charge anyone. I just wanted to help people. I had success the first time I did it, and I said, why not help people and hopefully motivate them to push through, because it's tough. And most of the people in the group were single moms. Some had 4 kids. Some had really busy schedules. And so I feel for that. Like I fully do.
Yeah.
But then there's some people that have a schedule wide open and they wouldn't make the commitments for the things that mattered.
Correct.
And I think that's really important, is when you're looking at your week, especially if you are in a role where you have involvement on a leadership level, or you are owning a business and you're working with people a lot, or you have kids, you need to be planning that stuff out the Sunday before. And you need to look at your week and say, okay, like there are going to be time gaps. There's going to be maybe from 6 to 8, I don't have anything going on. Well, don't be scrolling on social media for 2 hours and then you sit there and you wonder why you didn't, work on that project that you needed to do. Don't get me wrong, I struggle.
Yeah.
Like, we're not perfect. Like, there are times to where I sit there, and especially with growing a social media page, I will scroll and I sit back and I'm like, man, I just spent an hour just looking at videos that did nothing. What is that doing? And then I could have spent that hour working on new content ideas or helping somebody or jumping on a call. So yeah, it's important to look at your days and be like, I might be busy today, but there are going to be times through that day to where I can do the things that I need to. I can add value to other people's lives. Something I always make sure of, and I do this every day, is send at least to one person. I send a voice message to somebody, just tell them I'm proud of them. Or if it's somebody that's going through a tough time, hey, I'm here for you. I had a friend of mine that lost a grandmother recently and sent him a voice message, just checking in. How are you doing? Is there anything I can do? Can I be there for you in any kind of way? I think that's something that brings me joy, is knowing that I can be that for somebody else, but then I know that the person receiving it may not help them right that minute, but they know that they have somebody they can count on. And so I always tell people, like, you need to start reaching out to your friends that you don't talk to enough, or you need to reach out to people that are creating businesses and having success and telling them that you're proud of them, because they might not hear that. They might actually only hear doubt. They might actually only hear the doubt in their own mind saying, I'm not enough. This business isn't enough. I'm not making enough impact.
You never know how you can brighten someone's day. Like, that could have been what they needed to hear, even though they didn't. Because as guys, a lot of guys don't tell you when things are going bad. But at the end of the day, they might have gotten that message, while they've been silent and suffering. And because you sent them that, then makes them open up and just made their day. Like, you just never know. That's why the people who matter, you need to let them know they matter before it's too late.
Yep. Yeah. And not only that, it's having the right circle around you, because, you know, the older I've gotten, there's friends that have left my life and friends that are, you know, no longer in my life, but the ones that have stuck around through the good times, the hard times, those are the people that you need to, you know, sit back and appreciate even more.
Correct.
Because there are going to be people in your life that are only there for you for the season that you're in. Maybe you're partying a lot. Maybe you're going out and going to festivals, and they're there for you because they want to be in your, you know, they want to be in your surroundings and do the things that you're doing. But when you maybe change your life and maybe you're doing something totally different, but maybe you're impacting lives and helping other people, and then they're not there anymore because they don't agree with it, or maybe that they just don't understand why you're doing that.
Correct.
That's something that I've seen more in my life, and it's tough. It is tough when you are wanting people to still be there for you because you think that they're your friends, but they're really only your friends for the old version of you, old version that you created.
And that is something that happens with success. You will lose people that were there, you know, and it turns out as you grow, they might have been jealous of you this whole time or want you to struggle so they can be the best. So I tell people all the time, when you are trying to really be successful, be prepared for them leaves to fall off the tree. And guess what? New ones are going to sprout, and it's going to be the ones that's going to uplift you so that you can continue to be better. That's why with me, just about all of my friends, we all uplift each other. There is no competition. Even if you don't speak to them for weeks at a time, there is no love lost. But at the end of the day, you're always checking in, you know? So that's one thing about success. You are going to lose people, and don't be afraid when it happens, because it was bound to happen anyway. For you, so when you gonna start some peptides?
I don't know.
You know, I was gonna ask. You getting something today? He's getting something today. Because guess what? I know he got ADHD, so he getting something for that. So you know, I got to ask some questions about Love Is Blind.
Yeah.
So you know, there was a lot of people watching. What made you want to sign up in the first place? And at the time when you signed up for it, were you there looking for someone that could be a wife? Because a lot of people just on there for fame. They playing games. But what was your intention?
Yeah, I was at the time in my life to where I had gotten out of, I was in 2 different 2-year relationships that didn't work out. And I'd been single for right at a year. This is when I was 27. I was about to turn 28, back in 2018. And I was at work. I will always remember this. I had just gotten back from the gym, so pre-workout was still in my system. I had a short little 45-minute workout at Lifetime. Got back, and I got a message on my Instagram. And at the time, I had a little bit of a following, but it wasn't, I mean, I probably had 10,000 followers because I was posting a lot of content. It was more on the fitness side of things, more than faith. But I was, you know, putting out random content here and there. Instagram wasn't like as big as it is now. And the message, when it came through, I thought it was fake. And it was like, we are casting singles for a new project in Atlanta. We found your picture online, like on Instagram, on the Explore page. And we wanted to see if you were interested. Crazy enough, a week before that, I did a photo shoot in Atlantic Station. And one of those photos that my buddy Jonathan took was the photo that they saw. And it was a really good photo, but I was trying to build a social media. So I was like, I'm grateful that, you know, he took those photos because that's how they found me. And when they had first reached out, I thought it was fake. And when I got back from the gym, I showed my buddy, and he was like, dude, you should totally like at least try. And I was like, I don't know, seems kind of sketch, but okay. So I messaged the person back, and they said, can you jump on a call right now? And I was like, this might not be a good idea. I was like, yeah, sure. I have 10 minutes. Well, I still had pre-workout running through my system. It ended up being a 45-minute call. I was in in one of the sales room. My boss was not happy. And we got done with the call, and the lady emailed me back, and she goes, you can talk, and you're perfect for this. I want to at least push you to the next stage. And I was like, okay, cool. And the next stage was a video call. We did a video call, and then another video call, and then another video call. I did a video call one day while I was in a hot tub in Houston. I was on the 20th floor of a hotel. I was in the hot tub at the time. I did not know they were going to call me. They randomly called me, and I did a 45-minute call while I was in the hot tub. It was pretty crazy. And that was the process. It wasn't stressful, but it was sometimes, because I would have to get on calls randomly. And I was one of the first guys that they interviewed. Some people got interviewed 2 weeks before they were selected. I was one of the first people. I started, this was probably in June, and they picked me in September, 3 or 4 days before my birthday. So I went through it for about 3 months of just every week. It was some call with either, the casting crew, different people involved on the Netflix side of things. I went through testing. I had to go get STD testing. I had to go to a psychiatric testing. I had to go to the police department. I had all these things to make sure that you're not crazy. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't look at that message on Instagram, and it was in an other folder, so it wasn't even in like my main messaging inbox. I'm glad I did, because went through the 3 months of that. They called me September 23rd. It was like 3 or 4 days from my birthday. I was sitting at dinner with my buddy, and he was like, "Hey," my phone kept ringing. I didn't even notice it. And he said, "Take the call." And I took the call, and it was them saying, "You got casted." And I had basically 7 days to get all new wardrobe stuff if I needed to, because they were very specific in what they needed, and then move into the house, which we started October 1st of 2018.
Wow. Was there anything about that experience that surprised you that you wasn't expecting?
Yeah, filming 16 to 18 hours a day was a lot. And I didn't realize the amount of people that were involved. When you see a show and you see a production, you don't realize that there's so many people involved. I don't know the exact number, but there had to have been at least 100 to 150 people involved. And you might only see 15 to 20, but there's so much behind the scenes work. There's people in trailers and rooms that are watching everything, making sure everything goes smooth. And I didn't realize how much filming was. Like 16 hours a day, we didn't sleep. So there were some days we would start at 8 and we weren't done until 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning.
Oh, no.
So minimal sleep, and I think
And no gym time?
A little bit, but they had a gym that was just in there that, very
You're about to mess with my fitness. Oh, no.
Because you had to also think, like, if I'm getting interviewed, if I'm in rooms and I'm trying to be my best self, I also want to be comfortable. So, like, a lot of the times, you're not going to want to sit there and sweat during the middle of the day when you have a date.
Yeah.
Call them interviews, but they're more dates. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it can create more stress in your body because you're going in like a mode of, oh my gosh, like I'm not I'm not used to this. This is stressful. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really sleeping much. And there's a camera on me nonstop. That was another thing too. It was just realizing not only were there small cameras, but there were cameras just constantly moving or constantly around you at all times. Mm-hmm. So that was something I wasn't prepared for, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I think all the guys and girls, you're going to be nervous. You're not used to it.
Yeah.
Unless you're used to being on a camera all day and having somebody film you, but most of the people weren't. Mm-hmm. So
was there anything about that experience that challenged how you think about relationships or emotional connection?
Yeah, I think looks are important. Don't get me wrong, right? I was on a show that's like, can you fall in love with someone without seeing them? Mm-hmm. Do you believe that love is blind? And I truly believe that I think a lot of people would find their person if they weren't just only focused on how that person looked. Yes, it's important. You want to, be comfortable around somebody, but there are a lot of people out there that have genuine hearts that really could make you feel so good about yourself and be around, but you look at the way they look or how they dress or something like that as the first reaction, right? There are a lot of people I've met in my life that are friends, right? But after meeting them, I'm like, man, this person is so genuine. Like, I wish I could have somebody like this person. Like, it could be a friend that's in a relationship with someone, but you're like, now I understand why this person is married, because this, their husband or, vice versa, their boyfriend or whatever, it makes them feel so good about themselves. That is something that is really important. Is when I was on the show, and what I learned more about myself was how important communication is.
Yep.
But also not settling. Too many people jump into relationships because they come from a place of lack, not coming from a place of, okay, like, I'm going to be able to help this person, and they're going to be able to help me in my life too, and we're going to be able to be one, two, or a couple. Too many people jump into a relationship without seeing the red flags immediately, because they have their own red flags, and so they're not used. Oh well, we don't have this person. They're beautiful, and I love being around them, but we have different political views and different religious views. But I'm going to still stay with them because you know what? Like, they look good, and I like being around them. No. And that's something that the show really challenged me on, was asking the right questions. We're in a room, we can't see the other person, so we're only focusing on like their, what they're saying, like their communication, like what they're telling us, like their family life, like what they like, what they don't like, what makes them happy, what brings them joy. What are some of the things that are no-nos for them? Do they want kids? Do they not want kids? Like, all those things are really important. But when you're in a pod for multiple hours a day and you're really focusing on, is this other person on the other side telling me the things that are either one that I really want to hear, right? Or are they showing me something that I've been maybe missing in past relationships? And so it showed me a lot of like, all right, Wes, what are you looking for in a girl? Like,
Correct.
what do you really want out of a relationship? And I became, very vulnerable. That was something that was really important for me. Was I was going to be very authentic. I wasn't going to be fake. I wasn't going to come across as this douchebag that just wanted to find another girlfriend and be on TV. Like, no, I mean, yeah, there was a lot of positives to being on TV. You can, you can grow your own brand, but like, if you're really there for the right reason, if you're really there to, get to know someone and hopefully build something. I mean, the whole point of it was to get married. At the end of it was like, when you're going into this, you're like, all right, you got to be doing this for the right reason. Because if not, at the end of this, are you going to marry this person or not? And so I will share a little bit, but like, I was lucky enough at that time that I was able to connect with somebody on a deep level, amazing woman that I matched with, Lexi, and I got engaged on the show. They just never showed it. So I was able to match with somebody and really was able to see that full experience on the show. Our time was cut right after the filming of the actual pod scenes. But man, I learned so much about myself, and, I'm very proud of myself for being authentic and real, and not just being somebody that's there for the wrong reasons.
Correct. And how has your life changed since it aired? Whether it's faith-based, career-based, just walking around in public. Like, I'm sure some people know who you are from being on the show.
Yeah, I will be honest. I wish I got more screen time. For somebody that got engaged, like when I tell people I was on Love is Blind, they may remember a few scenes in the first episode and the second episode, but nothing else after that. And I went through the full process, the full 2.5 weeks of, all the dates, getting engaged, asking somebody to marry me, all those things. And then they cut us. Too many people matched. So unfortunately, that's what happened, is too many couples matched. So they had to send a few home. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to, but what it did do was, after the show, I, at that time, quit my job because I had some changes going on in my life. Me and Lexi and I dated for some time. Things didn't work out, but I learned more about myself. And what it then led to was I had about a month left on my lease at my apartment. And I had a coach at the time. This is why I'm all for, especially on the fitness side of things, hiring a coach, somebody that's going to push you, motivate you. I had a coach at the time that was also a life coach. And he said, Wes, he's like, you need to do something for yourself. You just went through this crazy experience. Things didn't work out the way you wanted it to. But you need to do something that you're going to always remember. And so I ended up doing something really crazy. And
Really crazy.
I booked a one-way flight to Southeast Asia. And this was in 2019. And I lived in Southeast Asia for almost 6 months. So I traveled through Thailand, through Bali, through Singapore, Malaysia, Cambodia, basically almost all of Southeast Asia, and was out there for about 6 months. And that was, something that the show catapulted me to doing something for myself that I never would have done. I would have been stuck in that job that I was stressed at. I would have been probably doing the same things, going out every weekend, drinking, partying, and living a life that was like focusing on only myself. And that's the problem. And by being on the show, it made me put somebody else also before myself, because that is important. Especially if you're in a relationship. That person should add value to you, but you should add value to their life.
Correct.
And sacrifice is huge. When I went to Southeast Asia, I was scared. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I was like, I'm going to travel, but I didn't have a plan. I didn't have I had a week plan. And after that, I was like, all right, I'm just going to explore. And so I did that for 6 months, got back home, and that led to me starting a coaching business. Didn't work out how I wanted to, but that's something that's okay, because there are going to be things that we create in life that don't work out, that may lead to something else. And where I'm at right now in my life, I tell people this. I went through some trauma like years after that. I went through a really tough breakup that was really bad, and it broke me inside because of what the person did to me, that it caused, I won't go into detail on it, but it caused trauma in my own life that I realized I was missing something. There was one thing I was missing, and that was I needed to fix my relationship with God. And that's why I always put him first. When I talk about my mornings, like putting him first, giving him my first and best, that's really important to me, because we're all going to have problems in our days. We're all going to have things that are going to give us a challenge, or things we might not agree with. But if for me, if I put him first, I can think of, okay, what would he do in this situation? What would he want me to do in this situation? And it's so important for me right now. And it's really, been the catalyst to my growth on social media. When I had my Instagram account after the show, I got verified. That was something that I was really happy about right after the show. I was like, getting verified back in 2020 was big. Mm-hmm. I mean, now you can get verified by paying. Some people, it's a little bit easier process. But that was pretty cool. And that led to brand deals. That led to certain things. But what really, the show and everything and where I'm at now, the last year and a half was from a deep level of brokenness. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can sit here and tell you that the show was amazing and I traveled through Southeast Asia and that was great. But I also experienced a year and a half of pain right after it. It's not all sunshines and rainbows of, everything's going to be great. A lot of people, especially that are on reality TV, you might see them and you're saying, they had this amazing opportunity. They must be so blessed. Life must be so easy. Maybe it's not. Mm-hmm. You don't really know what they're going through. There's a lot of people that struggle. Yeah. And I'm not saying I did, but I after it, I had to relearn who I was. I had to learn who was Wesley. This didn't work out. I didn't get the edit I wanted to. I didn't get screen time that I wanted to, and that hurt. And that messed me up inside, because I was I went, waited an hour and a half for this show to come out, and I get not even a minute on the actual show. And it hurt, because I was like, I changed my whole life at that time.
Yeah. And it was what? How long did you cast for?
We were, so it was a 3-month process, and then we filmed for about 2 weeks. 2.5, and then the people that stayed through the whole part of it, they were on for another 4 weeks, I think, and then it took 1.5 years for it to actually come out. We got done filming in 2018. It launched in Valentine's Day of 2020. So it was hard to see that. It was hard to
The commitment that you took to do it and to not get much from it. Yeah, you were on the show and you gained experience, but you thought it would have been more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you see others have success, and we were talking about success, when you see others that were in maybe your same position, and you're like, man, this sucks that this person's getting this opportunity, or it sucks that this person that's actually like not the best person, like they hurt people, is getting screen time or fame and all these followers. It did hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, the followers, that doesn't matter. But when you're sitting there and maybe you're like, I just quit my job and it'd be nice to work and make some money online. And you're like, well, now I'm going to have to go back and get another job, or, oh, I'm going to have to do this. I was really smart at the time with it to where I had saved up some money to where I could travel. You know, I wouldn't have been able to travel if I didn't have money saved up. But yeah, it at the time, I wasn't emotionally, I think, stable to like, when I noticed that, right? When I saw everyone having this fame, I was like, ugh, I was jealous, right? Like I was like, a few people were on the Ellen show and I was like, that would have been so cool to be on the Ellen show. Like at the time I was like, that would have been awesome to be interviewed and to be traveling, going to all these events. And that was something that I really, like, I guess you would say I wanted it. Like I wanted that experience because I saw, you know, the what it was doing for some of the cast members.
Yeah. But not only that, more people would have gotten to see what real looks like, and that none of you was fake at all. But you were the same person on and off the camera. And that's the unfortunate thing about media. You know, even when somebody does a newspaper or whatever, like they ask you all these questions, but there might be some of it that wasn't on there that was really important for them to put on there, but they didn't. So like your readers or people that what you said could have affected, well, it could be taken the wrong way because they didn't put everything you said.
Yeah.
So I've been through something like that before where, you know, there was much more said that wasn't put on there. So like, you know, one of my family members that, you know, we talked about, well, what I said about them, the good things weren't put on there. So it gave the impressions as if, you know, they were like a deadbeat dad or, you know, so, and trying to explain that they weren't hearing it because it wasn't on there.
There's something that I didn't even say that they told me to say, like that I didn't think to say. So one of my, and people will see this if they watch the first episode, we were all sitting at the kitchen table and they asked me to say something, to bring up something. And I basically said, is anyone a virgin here? And I never once asked that. And like, if you are, cool. But like, I never once asked that in, I never asked a girl if she was a virgin, or I was never asked if I was a virgin. And one of the guys was like, why? And I was like, well, one of the girls asked me if I was, and I didn't know if any of you guys are. And one of the guys was like, well, I am. And I was just like, so there are things that, like, you know, don't let the media fool you, because there are things that are said or things that are not really said, but they want to make it sound like, because in that moment, I'm like, why was I the one to ask this? Why was I supposed to be the one? And then I bring up about being short. In the first part of the first episode, I say, sometimes it sucks being the short guy. I mean, yeah, any short king out there is going to think the same thing. They're going to be like, it sucks being the short guy. I wish I was taller. But the thing is how that was brought up was from, they asked me if I've ever been denied and tell me a story. And I was like, yeah, I bought a drink for this girl one time, and we were talking, we were having a good connection, and she said, hold on one second, that guy's a little taller than you, and walked away from me. And I was just like,
you didn't need her anyway.
No.
If that's all you're looking for is height.
Exactly.
Some of the prerequisites that people have for dating is asinine. First of all, like I always say, you need to be what the hell you want. You over here out of shape, but you want somebody with abs. You over here got no money, but you want somebody with money. You got 12 kids, but you want somebody with none.
Yep.
What? The math ain't math, and why is it always you that benefits? That is what's wrong with a lot of these females today. They want what they are not. and then you mad when you get denied. But like, bro, it's that's not cool. So that's why a lot of people out here are single, because they out here are wanting things, what they're not. But if you were what you wanted, you might have a better time dating.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, I know that there's women out there that have their, oh, I want to be with a guy that's taller than me or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I totally get that. You
Yeah.
have your wants, and that's fine. But
be respectful with it.
yeah, it was just crazy how they flipped it and made it seem like I was complaining. I wasn't. It was more of, because I was the first guy to walk in. So when we started the filming, that was like the first scene was like, oh, it sucks being the short guy. But that was never said. That was never said in that context,
Yeah.
right? And like you mentioned, like sometimes I did an interview with People Magazine. Everything I said, there was a lot of it that was flipped. I mean, some of it was just changed in different ways. If you get an interview from people, like they're going to put it in their narrative on how they want it to sound. They want it to be interesting. And so it is kind of crazy, but I mean, it's common.
Yeah, it's crazy, but that's what I've learned from some people that I've interviewed in media, or for some friends, that it ain't always what it seems. Just like how social media is, it's not what it seems. Like even these relationships that people follow and want to be like, yeah, that's for social media. You have no idea what's going on behind closed doors. And if anything, I do love the couples like MJ and Jolie, where they talk about, they're authentic about the problems they've had, how they move forward from it, how they built their connection, how they, did therapy while things were good. People only do therapy while things are bad. Do therapy while things are good. Or if you're getting serious with someone, do therapy while things are good, because you're going to learn more about them throughout that growth process that you never would have thought to ask. That's why it's always good to have a third person to do that. Like there might be things that you never talked about, like love languages, like, or what's your attachment style? Like how do you communicate when there's a disagreement? Like things like that. People are scared to ask those types of questions, but you have immature people that think it's an interview. No, this is me getting to know you, so that when those things do arise, that's how we grow. I know your communication styles for us to grow together. So, and I'm sure you've learned that yourself throughout the years of like what types of questions you ask. Because guess what? Life is getting short. I'm not about to ask you your favorite color. I don't give a damn about that. It's the questions that matter.
Yeah, it shouldn't be so much of like an interview. Like I heard a guy was talking about how he doesn't do like first dates. He doesn't do like any kind of coffee. He's like, I don't want to feel, he's like, I'm not against it, but he's like, it doesn't work for me. I don't want to be in a first date to where it's like an interview almost. He's like, that is a no-no for me. And then he goes into context of like, I want the first date, sometimes I'll go all out because like, what if I marry this person? Like, and we'll always remember that first date. Like, what if that first date was so special? He's like, you don't have to do things that cost a lot of money, but like, what if that first date was so special that you'll always remember it? What are you going to say? Oh yeah, our first date was, we went to Starbucks and had a latte and we talked for 30 minutes and then she left.
But in that same breath, it could be, it started as coffee. You've been talking for hours, then you go somewhere next. So you got to think outside the box.
Yep.
Because if it goes well, great. But if it doesn't, then you didn't waste time or money.
Yeah.
But if you met somebody that's genuine, what you're looking for, the date's going to continue. So that's a growth thing.
Yeah.
So go on somewhere with that. But everybody's different. But if a date goes well, a lot of times it always goes to something next.
Yeah.
Or the second date could be a real date.
Yeah.
And then that's something to remember.
Yeah. And I mean, when we were filming, the first day I went on 15 dates. So they were more of like kind of like your blind dates, like 7-minute style. So they started out being a lot quicker. So you really were asking like the questions that you would hope would matter, not what's your favorite color, like what's this. And then it progressed to, when you really get to know somebody, okay, I can enjoy like sitting with them for an hour, for 2 hours.
Correct.
One of my friends talks about how something that we need to look for is the person that we want to be with. She's saying, how can this person suffer with me? if we were suffering, if we we lost our jobs, is this person somebody I could see going to war with? Is this person I could see if we were suffering, if we were going through hard times, could I be with this person? Could I see myself with this person? Because if I can't, that's a problem.
Yes.
If we have a small disagreement and they're going off and going psycho, that's not going to be good when there's a big problem. Mm-hmm. That's something I've seen in my dating is, and especially if it comes down to like, can I see this person? Because I want to have kids one day. Can I see this person being the mother of my children? Can I see this person going through, challenges with, oh, well, the kids are freaking out at school and the teacher's having me, go pick them up. Can I see this person being able to handle that? Mm-hmm. Just as much, because I think men and women, they definitely handle things a lot differently with their emotions. But that is something that's a big quality for me. It's like, Absolutely. Do I see this person being a motherly figure in my life?
Absolutely.
And
I know for me, I do better with people who didn't get everything handed on a silver platter.
Yeah.
Right? Having someone that actually been through something, maybe a bad breakup, maybe they had a tough life growing up or tough circumstances, but they made it out of it. They said they've done therapy before. Things like that makes me think, okay, they are grounded. They're ready for something. They have coping mechanisms, like it's way more to them internally than what they present.
Yeah.
So that for me, I do better with people that have actually had to grow up, right? And become an adult and learn what that looks like. Those are the type of people that I could see myself hanging out with, whether it's a friend or more. And that's all of my friends to this day, like yourself, have all had struggle and have made it. Yeah. Whereas I have nothing in common with somebody who's been rich their whole life and never had a struggle in a day of their life. And the water changed or something and they're pissed and it ruins your day. Like, how? Why? I'm sitting over here like, really?
Yeah. And I mean, hey, if you came from money and you've been given everything and that's your life, like I'm not going to sit there and judge it, but like you said, like you're going to hit a point to where you will have a trial, you will have a challenge, and how do you face that? How do you handle that? Are you going to run to someone else, or are you going to be able to handle it yourself? And that's the thing is, I've seen that through friends is they run to their parents for everything. Mm-hmm. It's like, when are you going to grow up and like figure it out yourself?
Exactly.
So
yeah, but it's been lovely having you on here. I want to ask some quick questions because I know you love sports. Who is your favorite team?
I'm saying this with my heart, even though right now it's not the best. But I'm a big Georgia fan, big Georgia football fan. But I'm a big Braves fan. I was able to go to one of the World Series games. I've also been to the Super Bowl when the Falcons were there. Mm-hmm. Spent a lot of money on those tickets. I cried all night. Mm-hmm. But good experience. But yeah, big Braves fan. They're not having the best year, so it's tough to watch. Mm-hmm. I think it's tough for anyone when their team is down.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite pastime?
Pastime.
As far as the thing you like to do for fun.
I love working out, but that's not really a pastime. For me, I love going to the river, just very peaceful, like going to the river and reading. Like I love reading. That is my thing. And just being athletic, like anything that has to do with like sports or being outside. I love playing lacrosse, so I still will play lacrosse with some of my buddies. I played in high school, so I enjoy doing that.
Okay.
And just traveling, like just being able to like go different places. I love sunrises, sunsets, all that. So if I'm like out and about and like just doing things with people, like I love that.
Okay. And what's your favorite cheat meal?
Definitely hot lemon pepper wings with fries, Cajun fries, double ranch. That's my go-to.
He's specific. Double ranch?
Gotta get 2 ranch because if all the wings and the fries, I need to be using 2.
Okay. And I see you brought us some goodies.
I did.
Okay, so tell us what are these?
These are high protein. I call them energy bites. They have a little bit of honey, so that's where the energy's from. But they have oats, gluten-free, Biscoff cookies on a few of them. Some of them are chocolate and white chocolate ones. And then they have peanut butter, honey, and a little bit of powdered sugar on top.
Okay, tell people what the macros are.
Each one is right at 100 calories, around 97 calories, 4 grams of protein, 9 carb, and about 2 grams of fat, 3 grams of fat, maybe.
See,
Somewhere around
guys,
that.
so that's what macros are: fats, carbs, protein. That's why his book is so good. Everything is spelled out for you, so there is no way you can't cook. Okay, so these are here good. He made me some of these before, and I would actually have them in the middle of my workout if I get hungry, because I do work out fasted. So there's a lot where this came from. Westley is my guy. Please follow him. He has tons of brand deals for things that he loves, like First Form. What else do you have brand deals with discount codes?
First Form is my main one right now, so that's the one that. But I have a few things in the works. A few people that I'm working with. I do work with Blender Bottle.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Yeah. They have probably some of the best blenders out there.
Okay.
Beast Blender is another one. So I love my Beast Blender. Anyone, like, I'm telling you, every single dessert I've ever made, that is like the blender I use, and it is the best.
Okay.
And you can get them on Amazon. They also have a website too, Beast Blender. I think it's just beastblender.com. But First Form's my main one. I've been dedicated to them, working with them for about a year and a half now. They have products just outside of the, the proteins. So they also have creatine, pre-workout, stuff like that. But every single dessert I've ever made, also that's in the book, has been using First Form products.
Hey, First Form, just a giant, hit your boy up. I love some protein
Yes.
now. Get your boy some protein, all right? But also, we have something for our buddy here. He's going to get some peptides to try. Also, he's going to get one of our hats.
There we go.
Gentle Giant, get some merchandise. This might be in a store near you. Just because I love my business and I love what I do, and everything I promote is for health and fitness, which is a huge part of my life. So a lot of the merchandise that is coming out is things that pertain to me, as far as like water bottles, your gallon jugs, your hats, things that you wear with the gym, hoodies, tank tops, things for the ladies, of course. But be on the lookout, because we got some good things happening. My buddy's going to be repping for me, just like he does with everybody else.
There you go.
Because I know he loves hats. So thank you again for being on the QFX. And guys, follow him. He is the most authentic and great person that you can meet. Very authentic, and just an overall great person. And the world needs more people like Wes. So Wes, tell us where we can follow you.
Yeah, so I have Instagram and TikTok. Both of them are at Westley Baer. It's spelled out WESTLEYBAER. I post all my content. They're very, very similar on both sides. And then I also have a link in my bio on my Instagram, which has my First Form stuff, and then also my recipe book. Right now, the recipe book is on sale for $9.99, so it's very cost effective.
$10, y'all.
Can't beat it. And it gets emailed right to you. And but in the next probably 60 days, we'll have version 2. And then I also have Twitter or X, but I don't really post on there much, so we'll just stick to the Instagram and TikTok.
All right, guys, you heard it. Continue to follow his journey, his meals, his desserts, and I promise you will not be disappointed. Thanks for being on here, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.